program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. As an empowered individual, you do have options available where
AJ, my friend, how come you're off in the black? Hi there, everybody. Join in, AJ.
You know, Pharmacist Ben.
Hello, AJ. What'd you leave me hanging out there by myself? That was very awkward.
You know, pal, I mean...
Come on, AJ. What are you throwing me under the bus for? What are you throwing me under the bus for?
I was just trying to invite some guests so that they could see what we're doing. And you're throwing me for loops, Ben. But, you know, first and foremost, before anything, I want to thank you for taking time out of your vacation to join me recently at my seminar. And you really informed the folks. It was so well received. And you really went above and beyond. And I really
I appreciate that. First, let's say a couple things with that. First of all, I'm grateful for you to say that. It means a lot to me because I want to be validated. I want to know I'm on the right path. I'm doing the right thing. And that means a lot to me when you say that. And then also, I wouldn't do anything else. I live for this in the sense that I really believe that the world, you know, I say this all the time. I'll say it again, Hosea 4.6 or 4:6, right? My people perish for lack of knowledge. We are suffering so because of information or the lack thereof, or misinformation, or it's an information problem. We have an information problem is what we have. We're not getting the straight scoop because there are interests at play that are holding us hostage, holding our health hostage, holding the health of our families and our friends and our loved ones and our kids and our parents and our grandparents and ourselves, holding our health hostage for profit interests, for money interests, for business interests. And it's not fair because the suffering I'm a capitalist, by the way. I'm not, you know, I like capitalism, but I'm saying there is suffering at the other end of the equation of the money that's made by the modern medical model, the medical industrial complex. You know, they talk about $4 trillion in healthcare costs a year. I don't know, 3.5 trillion. I don't even know. Ridiculous numbers, right? It could be 3 trillion, 4 trillion. What's a trillion between friends? You know, it's like that kind of thing. Like, you know, a trillion here, a trillion there, right? It's $4 trillion, right? That $4 trillion is not just hanging in the air. That's going in somebody's pocket. That $4 trillion, because every time you have a heart bypass done, you're paying $50,000, and every time you have a kidney transplant, you're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars. And even just maintaining yourself on the average beta blocker for hypertension, all of this adds up, and it lines pockets. And I'm not saying this in a way, you know, that I don't mind the profit model. I'm for profit. I'm all for profit. But when there's health, people's health at the other end, and you are giving out information that is not helping them, it's not serving them, in fact, it's making them sicker, well, that's a situation that needs to be resolved. I can't live with that situation as a healthcare professional. So I do this all the time, and I love doing it. And you know what? It makes me happy to help people. I get off on it. My dopamine goes up, my serotonin goes up, my blood pressure drops, my immune system is stronger. Fine, I'm getting benefit too. And when you help somebody, and we're going to help somebody here tonight, and when you help somebody with a logical way, not in a way that says, I'm going to take this, take that, you know, I'm going to take care of you, I'm going to fix you, in a logical way that involves your lifestyle choices, because it always involves your lifestyle choices, it's so empowering. You know, this gal I talked to, I can only imagine, she's a mom, she has a kid, a young kid, we'll show his pictures here in a second. He's got a skin condition, and this is a very severe skin condition. And I bet this poor gal, I don't know her, but I bet she's been going to doctors and going back and forth and here and there. And because they have been infected with the medical mind virus, they're not using their logic. They're treating the skin condition on the skin, when logic would tell you that the skin condition is the end result of a whole cascade of biochemical reactions that begin somewhere. Does that make sense? You follow? This is logic. This is not medicine, science, master's degree, PhD, MD. It's none of that. It's logic. You are seeing the end. When you see a skin condition, I've been doing skin for many years. As diverse as skin diseases are, and there's many, many skin diseases. I have books of dermatology books with the most incredible detailed pictures of boils and cysts and lesions and ulcers that don't heal and dark spots and all kinds of stuff happens on the skin. But it all begins in the same place, all of it. And this gives us our power.
Can I guess where?
Yeah, not yet. I know, right? Not yet. I haven't even I simplified it even further. Maybe we'll introduce my simplification, my further reduction of the triangle. Went to the triangle, to the dots, and now it's just one thing. Now it's just one thing, because I always like to simplify and reduce things. So on the skin, you got all these zillions of different ways that crap can show up: lesions and plaques and pimples and boils and wounds and ulcerations and blue and dark and red, all kinds of things, zits and boils and cysts, all kinds of things, but they're all the same thing. Just like, analogously, the body's like that. We have thousands of different disease diagnoses, but they're all the same thing. They're all the same thing. They're just showing up in different ways, and it doesn't matter how they show up, from a resolution, from a healing stage, from a correction stage, or from a reversal. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about cure. We're talking about reversal. See, the body is homeostatic, right? You've heard the term homeostasis, right? Homeostasis. You've heard it, right? Homeo means the same. Stasis means stay. Stasis is to stay. Static, stay the same. Stay the same. Homeostasis is the body staying the same. So when your temperature goes up, mechanisms kick in to drop your temperature. When your temperature drops, mechanisms kick in to raise your temperature. When your blood sugar goes up, mechanisms come in to lower your blood sugar. When your blood sugar is too low, mechanisms come in to raise your blood sugar. When your thyroid's too low, your thyroid hormone goes down. There's mechanisms that pull it up, and vice versa. And this is happening all the time. This is called regulation. Regulation is the body pulling everything, pulling the ups down and the downs up, getting everything back to baseline. And it's not really baseline in the sense that it's just zero, because everything has a certain place it likes to be. It might be 2 or 3 or 5. It's not all like this, and you're not dead. It's going to be somewhere, but the body pulls it back up to where it needs to be. And it's brilliant at the most microscopic, at the most nanoscopic level, at matching the body itself, the cells, the metabolism, the chemistry, with the environment. It's completely matched. It knows, it's so finely tuned. This process of adjusting to the environment it's so complex, it's incomprehensible how complex it is. But it is always running perfectly until it's disturbed. Until it's disturbed. And we, being cut off from our environment in the sense that we have to eat, have to put things into our system that throw it off inevitably, because you get this pure system. Can you imagine this pure system? And now you're introducing all this stuff into it. No problem. The body's got a way of adjusting for all that. It deals with it. And this way of dealing with the input of substances, for eons, it wasn't injecting through the skin. It was always food, right? Only injections are modern. The human body is millions of years old. Or in this most recent guise, maybe a couple 100,000 years old. It's very set up. It's been around for a long time. So it knows exactly how to balance itself with the environment, and it knows exactly how to balance itself with the things that come in that disturb it. It has mechanisms. It has insulin. It has stomach acid. It has enzymes. It has a whole slew of gastric hormones. And it's all finely tuned and regulated and just adjusted to handle anything you put into it, as long as everything you put into it is something that it knows about, that it understands from its 100,000-year-old history, or million-year-old history if you want to go all the way back. So we've, over the last 100 years, we've completely changed what it's expecting to get in. We've changed it both in quality, and we've changed it both in quantity. We've changed the quality, what the substance is, the constituency of it, and the amount of it, both of it. And we have figured out a way industrially to give the body ridiculous, from a biological perspective, amounts of energy. See, energy to the body is very important, right? And for millennia, our problem was not getting enough energy. So the body learned how to deal with low energy states effectively. And it learned to have a certain baseline amount of energy that it could deal with. But it also linked pleasure with the input of energy in an effort from an evolutionary standpoint for us to want to go out and find this stuff. We get pleasure when we eat high energy foods. There's a pleasure chemistry. There's pleasure chemistry that kicks in when we eat high energy foods. This is why we love high energy foods so much. And it's built in. We can't get around it. It's hardwired in our brains to love high energy substances. In terms of food, high energy means calories. And there's nothing in the world of calories and food that has more high energy than sugar. And I shouldn't say fat has even more energy, but sugar is quicker energy. Sugar is quick. Fat has more, but it's not as quick. But between fat and sugar, you have these incredible hardwired drives that associate pleasure and bliss with the input of these high energy fats and sugar. Who's going to resist that? This pleasure and bliss that's associated with it. So what manufacturers have figured out, the more high energy we stick into our foods, the more bliss they're going to have, the more they're going to eat it, And then you throw in our, stress-filled 21st century lifestyle, and we're looking for bliss and rapture anywhere we can find it and joy. And you got the potato chips, and you got the French fries, and listen, next time you eat fast food, right? I don't know if you go to McDonald's. Anybody out there who's going to McDonald's? Okay, I'm sorry. That was crazy. I'm sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. But anyway, this is McDonald's, right? At McDonald's, when you go to McDonald's, I've had a McDonald's a long time, but I remember this very well. When you get a hamburger at McDonald's, you get a present. You unwrap that thing. It's a gift. Watch people when they unwrap that thing. It's like Christmas, and the delicious burger is in there, right? You're tapping in. Listen, a lion doesn't eat in the jungle for pleasure. He doesn't eat for joy and bliss and rapture. He doesn't eat because he's depressed. He doesn't eat because he has a credit card bill or because Mrs. Lion is nagging him all the time or whatever. Lions and tigers and giraffes and wild buffalo, they don't have cancer and heart disease and all of the diseases of Western civilization because they eat what they're supposed to eat when they're supposed to eat it, and they stop when they're not supposed to eat it. We don't do that. All of this is to say, we have a major, major control point, leverage point, power point that will free us from those shackles that we were talking about that trap us into this useless medical paradigm for treating chronic long-term disease, like disease that doesn't resolve itself. That's basically what a chronic degenerative disease that doesn't resolve. It gets worse instead of getting better. Most of the times, because of homeostasis, the body will heal you. You'll get better. But in a chronic degenerative disease, that doesn't happen because of the steady input of super high energy substances that disturb the very delicate, finely tuned, hardwired energy processing system of the body. It's like putting a firecracker or a cherry bomb in a computer, in a hard drive. It explodes it, and that's basically what's happening. And this gets us back to our point. Remember, I told you I shrunk everything down. This goes to the skin condition here. Remember, I told you we went from a triangle, 3, which I thought was pretty simple, but it wasn't as simple as I thought. So I shrunk it. I shrunk it to 2
a
points.
plane. It was a plane.
A plane. That didn't work though. I didn't have the cachet. So I've further shrunk it. There's only one thing that you need to know. Now, the 3 points are involved still, but this one thing is what causes all of the problems. One thing, and you know what the thing is, and I'll tell you what it is. When I tell you what it is, you'll say, of course, this makes sense. But when I tell you what it is, you'll know what it is, and you'll say it makes sense, but you may not really see how the whole thing is put together, okay? Because everybody knows that chronic degenerative diseases are associated with. They may not know what there's caused by, but they know it's associated with. Yes.
The old saying, "You are what you eat."
That's exactly what it is. You are what you eat. But this is, and we'll get to that in a second, because that's absolutely true. You are what you eat. Our body's composed of yesterday's lunch, basically. That's literally what we are. We are what we eat. But this is what I was going to say. All disease, dis-ease, is marked by inflammation. All of it. That is the immediate cause of all disease. There's initiating causes, but the immediate cause is inflammation. Okay, everybody knows that. Even if they don't know it exactly, they've heard that. But we really haven't taken a deep dive into what that really means, because if we do, we'll understand how to solve the problem, right? So what is inflammation? Inflammation is a protective response. You get a black eye, right? What happens? You get puffy and swollen and bleed. Why do you get puffy and swollen? That's inflammation, right? Why would you get puffy and swollen?
Because the activity of the white blood cells are going in there.
All of it. There's protection, there's fibers, there's goo, there's healing, there's a lot of action that's going on. Inflammation is your best friend. Inflammation is your best friend. Because what inflammation does is it protects you like an airbag. It protects you from damage and assaults, broken things, broken tissue, disturbances, metabolic disturbances. Inflammation sequesters an area so that it can be protected, so that it can be healed, and so it won't spread its toxicity. When there's an inflammatory response after an injury, there's toxicity. Inflammation is to wall things in, and it's a great process. It's a brilliant process. And if I told you the chemistry that's involved in the final inflammatory product, your head would explode. My head explodes. There's so many intricate steps that are involved in it, and the elegance of it. I'll just give you one little example. Many of the molecules that are associated with the inflammatory process are built into the cell membrane. So when the cell membrane breaks, it's disturbed, it's damaged, it releases inflammatory factors. It's like built into it. This is how brilliant the system is. This is how absolutely staggeringly brilliant. This is all the nanoscopic scale, the tiniest of scales. Long story short, inflammation is immunity. The immune system works by inflammation. Inflammation is the calling card of the immune system. So all diseases, we're working here. All diseases are inflammatory. They're repair, they're protection. The inflammation is the calling card of the immune system, which is your defense system. So check this out. All health challenges, all chronic degenerative disease, whether it's acne or Alzheimer's or arthritis or atherosclerosis or autoimmune disease, or you name it, they're all inflammatory, they're all immune, they're all protective, they're all defensive. Our body is in a defensive posture. And in that defensive posture, it can't function efficiently, and it doesn't handle energy the same way. It reroutes the energy towards emergency processes and not towards the good stuff, not towards growth, not towards repair, not towards fertility, not towards creativity, not towards immunity, not towards building, and not towards, not towards having a strong heart. It shunts it to the emergency response. The emergency response slows down healing. The emergency response has a short-term anti-inflammatory effect, and inflammation is your friend. So the anti-inflammatory effect has an inhibitory effect on healing, at least when it happens for a while. And then over time, the body stops listening to the anti-inflammatory signals, and it just goes about its inflammatory process anyway. So all disease is the manifestation of a protective response, which means if you have a health challenge, the only thing you have to ask, if you want to resolve that health challenge, is what is triggering that defensive response? What is the offending agent? What is disturbing the body? And unless you're injecting things through your skin, it has to be food. There's only two ways things get into the bloodstream. When we say into the body, we mean not into the mouth, into the blood, into the circulation. And when you understand how the body's put together, it makes perfect sense. For example, your blood runs through the body, obviously, but when it gets to the smallest, tiniest little capillaries, it's running through the connective tissue. And the connective tissue sieves out dirt from the blood that got in through the digestive tract. Once that dirt accumulates, and it's not really dirt, it's immune complexes and bacterial parts and maybe things from foods, and it's biological substances. Once that stuff gets into the connective tissue, anything can happen. The connective tissue is probably the most important structure or substance in the body, and it's very well protected. And once you have toxicity in the connective tissue, you get a whole slew of immune activity in the connective tissue. And this is when people start to suffer from connective tissue diseases. But because connective tissue feeds all of the other cells, you can suffer from any other kind of health challenge, all following toxicity that enters into the blood, offending agents that enter into the blood. Whether those offending agents are through the skin, and this is why, by the way, you want to be careful when somebody from the medical model tells you to inject something through your skin, and you don't want to do it. This is why people are having a lot of blood problems when they went and injected things through their skin that they didn't know what they were doing, that they were just told they were supposed to do. And now what's happening is people are having embolisms and blood clot problems because the blood is the sacred space. The blood has to stay clean. But most people are not injecting things. That's not where the problem comes. The problem comes from the food. And if you don't believe me, if you're dealing with a chronic degenerative disease, fast for a day, fast for 2 days, watch what happens. Almost everybody will tell you they feel better. I love a book by Dr. Terry Walls, the Walls Protocol. I've talked about it a lot. It's a book on how she cured herself of multiple sclerosis, autoimmune diseases by changing her diet and fasting. And I read it and I wasn't surprised. I had her on my radio show. I wasn't surprised. Of course, that makes perfect sense because it's the only way things can disturb the system. So all disease is inflammation. The main source of inflammation is inflammation, protective response. The main source of the offending agent has to be food. It can't be angels sprinkling something on your head or little leprechauns shooting something into your knees. That's what they used to think, by the way.
No way.
This is what they used to think. They used to think disease was caused by little leprechauns. Or I was reading this in the medieval history. They used to think it was caused by the number 9. The number 9 was considered to be a cause. This is what people thought. So when the medical model came around, by the way, the science of diagnosis, that was a serious advance. That was represented in an advance over little leprechauns. They said, well, it might be that. Then the first thing they said was germs. Everything was germs. That's when really medicine got going, was in the late 1800s, because they discovered germs.
But
everything's germs.
They were on to something with using the leeches, though, cleaning the blood.
The leeches, they were onto something, weren't they? Yeah, they knew there was something about the blood. That's why they would bleed you. That was a big thing. There's a really cool YouTube from Saturday Night Live where they have a medieval doctor, Theodoric of York, medieval doctor. It's real hysterical. You should watch it. YouTube. So anyway, the skin's very fascinating to me because the skin represents a place for the body to eliminate toxicity. So lots of toxicity shows up on the skin. The skin cells are dividing very rapidly. So they're very subject to very responsive to disturbances. They're subject to being thrown off kilter very quickly. And when they're thrown off kilter, they can grow really rapidly, causing these plaques and lesions, or they can grow real rapidly inside follicles, causing inflammatory reactions inside the follicles that can lead to boils and cysts. And because there's a lot of bacteria on the skin, you can have all kinds of bacterial problems. You can have disturbances in how the cells grow upwards and create patches called eczema. You have itching reactions, redness reactions, but it's all from the same thing. It doesn't matter. These are just happen to be very fascinating, the chemistry of it and how it's all related, but it doesn't matter. Just to give you a simple example, there's a chemical, and we're going to talk about this on Daily with Doc on Friday. There's a chemical that everybody knows about, but we really don't give it the respect this chemical that it deserves. It's called histamine. Right? Obviously, you've heard of histamine. You take antihistamines, but histamine is a major player in the disease process. Histamine is a protective molecule. It's an immune molecule. It's associated with turning on the protective mechanism of fluids and redness and opening up of blood vessels. And so histamine actually makes things happen. Histamine stimulates the production of acid in the stomach. Histamine is a neurotransmitter that keeps you awake. That's why when you take an antihistamine, you fall asleep. They use antihistamines for schizophrenia and for psychosis, antihistamine type drugs, because histamine revs you up. Histamine is a serious accelerator of things. It accelerates cell division. It just moves, causes things to move because it's secreted in response to emergencies, attack. Well, histamine is also secreted by bacteria in your intestine. Now, if those bacteria are in your large intestine, that's not a big deal. But when they're in your small intestine, those bacteria can secrete lots of these inflammatory chemicals like histamine. And when those inflammatory chemicals hit the intestinal lining, it expands. It creates these leaks. You've heard of this, leaky gut. You got histamine now in the blood. Then, if you have toxins that go into the blood, they can hit these cells inside the blood, inside the body, specifically in the connective tissue called mast cells. They explode and they produce histamine. And so histamine is responsible for all kinds of health issues, secondary to or following disturbances at the level of the intestine. This is just one example. There's many, many other ways this can happen. You can have literal food particles entering into the blood, and then immune complexes that surround those food particles. Now remember, you have a finely tuned biological system here. It's not supposed to have this stuff floating around in the blood. There's ways it protects itself. It's got evolutionary mechanisms for doing it, but it can only do so much. And by the time we have a disease process, we've flooded the body with toxins. So that's basically it. Now, in conjunction with this flood of toxicity, we also are dealing with malnourishment. Why? Well, for two reasons. Number one, because we eat like crap. We don't know how to eat, and we don't know how to supplement. And we eat, as I said, for the wrong reasons, and we don't eat the right kinds of foods. So we're malnourished. We're functionally starving as a culture. And that's a major cause of our disease problems, because the nutrients give the body the ability to deal with the toxicity. But there's another place where malnourishment occurs, and that's inside the body. For example, once that intestine is damaged, it's not going to be able to absorb its nutrients as effectively. Also, once cells are damaged, they're not able to absorb their nutrients correctly. Also, the hormone that's important, that's required for feeding cells, vitamins and minerals and all the nutrients that a cell needs, is insulin. And over the course of time, because we've been pounding our body with insulin spiking foods, our insulin doesn't work. What do you call it when your insulin doesn't work?
Dysglycemia.
AJ, oh man, AJ, nailed it, nailed that.
Learning from the best.
Right, dysglycemia, messed up blood sugar, which doctors will tell you have diabetes, right? And is it any wonder why we have a diabetes epidemic? Nobody's insulin works. We've been pounding our body with insulin spiking foods. Our body's had enough. It can't do it anymore. But the problem is when it stops listening to insulin, it doesn't feed the cells nutrients either. So your cells are starving from multiple levels here, on top of a situation where toxicity is entering into the blood. You can see the issue. You see why we're sick. And did I say anything medical yet? Did I say anything? You need to go to a doctor. You need to have like a medical degree. You need to study. You need to have nothing. This is logic.
Very rational.
Plain old logic. We have been led to believe that we're too stupid to understand how our bodies work. It's not true. It's just logic. It's simple. Now, if you want to get into the minutia of it, it happens to be incredibly fascinating, endlessly fascinating, but you don't need to. All disease needs to be backtracked to something that's getting into the body inappropriately, that's throwing off its energy and its metabolism. All diseases are metabolic diseases. They involve metabolism. They involve chemistry. The only ways metabolism gets disturbed physically is through foods and toxicity. Well, through foods. Only through foods. That's the only way, unless you're injecting. Injecting that can disturb metabolism as well. And I said physically because spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, you're also going to be disturbing your metabolism if you have anything going on. And I always have to say that there's 4 dimensions of healing. There's four dimensions of wellness, SMAP. So why don't you put these pictures up for this guy? So the skin, let me just finish real quick. The skin is very responsive to toxicity and to nutritional deficiency from a good angle and a bad angle. From a bad angle, if you're toxic and you're malnourished, it's going to show up on your skin. From a good angle, as soon as you eliminate the problem, the skin disappears quickly. And so I told this gal, and I want everybody to understand, if they have a skin problem today, if you take care of it at the metabolic level, it'll disappear without drugs. Not because of some cure that somebody gave you. It's because that's the way the body works. You're just working with the biochemistry of the body. And luckily for us, we've been gifted this incredibly intelligent, responsive, coherent, tightly choreographed and regulated biological system that works perfectly as long as it has as long as you put the good stuff in and keep the bad stuff out. Simple as that. Good stuff in, bad stuff out. So why don't you put those pictures up? Okay. Now, that's a major sign of toxicity. The body will use the skin as a way of eliminating toxins. Also, because there's bacteria, it looks like it might have some bacterial infection too. There might be some pus. That tells me that there's the microbiome is off. But basically, you're dealing with when you see that, all you got to think of is toxicity. Okay. Now, where does toxicity come from, AJ? Where does AJ?
Toxicity is from what you ingest.
Period. What you ingest. Well, that's the point I want to make. It's something that's getting into the body involuntarily. That's good news. Show the next picture. More toxicity. Also, the dark spots are indicative of dysglycemia, messed up blood sugar. That happens to be one of the things that happen when people's blood sugar is off. And you can see he's also carrying there's some body fat there. That also implies his insulin's off because he's a young kid. Serious problem, serious gut problem. It could be psoriasis. It could be fungal. I can't tell just from that picture.
The doctors diagnosed him with psoriasis and eczema.
Okay, that's psoriasis. That's what I'm saying. It could be psoriasis or fungal. Either way, it's a sign of major toxicity involving the immune system. It's right in the word. Psoriasis is an autoimmune disease. It's right in the immune system, which is not surprising to me because he has the other stuff tells me there's some major disturbances there.
But autoimmune
disease. Let me say this real quick. Autoimmune diseases happen to occur to about 40 million people have autoimmune disease. 1 out of 10 people have autoimmune diseases. There's about 80 to 100, 120. They keep finding more, and some of the cutting edge research is indicating that all disease is autoimmune. Doesn't matter, just a name. All disease is immune. Doesn't matter whether it's autoimmune or immune. All disease is immune. You don't need any research to prove it. You just need logic. So anyway, that's an autoimmune disease. Autoimmune diseases are caused by cells that look distorted. When the cell looks distorted, the body attacks it. Doctors will tell you nothing we could do about autoimmune diseases. Baloney. You take care of the offending agent and the defensive response will disappear. Simple as that. So that's just another indicator that there's some disturbances, metabolic disturbances, secondary to something getting into the blood that shouldn't be getting into the blood. And then show me the last picture. Okay.
By the way, the previous picture of the back and the arms, he mentioned that that condition did not exist prior to getting injections for what we're looking at now.
Okay. So this happened. What I'm looking at now was the first, and then he got injections, and the other things happened.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know what they injected him. Probably a biologic. I'm assuming some kind of.
I don't want to use the brand name, but yeah, the ones.
Biologic. Was it a biologic immune suppressant kind of thing?
It was like the one that has a commercial. Nothing is everything.
Nothing is everything. Oh yeah. Isn't that funny? The one that gets me is the one where they do the Broadway musical.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That gets me every time. But they know that the stupider it is, the more you're going to remember it. That's how they sell us these things. Yeah. That's how they sell these things. They sell it like it's any other commodity. Anyway, That's a serious case of eczema. Not a mild, but a serious case. It's all very serious. Also, I look at it. It looks to me like there's a lot of excess body fat there, and that tells me
that's a finger. That's his mom's finger.
That's his finger.
That's his mom's finger below.
Oh, okay. I thought that was the back of his head. Okay, gotcha.
That is the back of his head, but the mom's finger is like kind of
below
holding it
it.
down.
No, that looks a little different. He does look like he's got a little bit more body fat than he should. That's dysglycemia, which is not surprising. This is a classic case of too much bad stuff getting into the body, none of good stuff. So this is what I would do with this patient. First of all, don't waste your time with dermatologists. This is not a skin problem. Okay, that's more eczema on the scalp.
Yep.
It appears to be eczema on the scalp. It's hard to see, but it appears to be eczema on the scalp. Why is it white? What's the white? Or is it white or silver?
Let me look a little closer here. It's just the flash of
okay. I see.
Just a little reflection.
Yeah.
But so definitely a lot of eczema.
Okay, so here's the deal. You're dealing with a major metabolic disturbance. That's good news because that means you can make changes quickly. First of all, what I do is put this person on a food diary. I'd want to know when he flares up, when the condition flares. The flare-ups are your best friend. Everybody who's out there doing this, as a healthcare coach, I should say, flare-ups are your best friend. They give you real-time information, and you always want to chart. You always want to do a food diary, right? So you're doing a food diary, you're charting, you're looking for flare-ups, and you're also looking for digestive problems. This guy's got to have some major digestive issues. All the stuff that we're talking about, stuff getting in through the digestive system, it doesn't just go through the digestive system and throw off the metabolism in the body. That creates major disturbances in the intestine. So you're going to have pain or nausea and diarrhea and loose stools or constipation or gas or bloating. There's a whole slew of things, heartburn. There's a whole slew of digestive health challenges that you can have linked to these disturbances, these foods that are disturbing the metabolism upstream. So look for digestive health issues, digestive symptoms, and link them to foods, and then you're going to start to eliminate those foods. Then you also want to use digestive support. There's lots of digestive support supplements that Longevity has. I get this person on the Ultimate Enzymes, probably the Nightly Essence, although I'd start off slow. I'd want to see. Sometimes when people have that SIBO, all the bacteria, taking probiotics can put a little bit too much bacteria. I don't want to see how he does with the Nightly Essence. And then we have a product called the Ultimate Microbiome. I put them on all the digestive stuff. Food elimination. I-26. I always forget. I-26. Also the I-26. You're going to approach this as a digestive problem. And you're going to look for problem foods. You're going to be eliminating those problem foods. He's going to be shocked when he finds out, or mom's going to be shocked when she finds out. And this is all good news. Because as soon as you start to make these corrections, 24 hours, 48 hours, maybe 72, maybe 1 to 3 days of making these corrections, you're going to start to notice differences. And the worse your case is, the faster you notice the differences. It may take you longer to completely resolve it, but you'll notice differences quickly. Okay, then I would start to use, I would do all the blood sugar stuff too. The Ultimate Niacin, the Ultimate Selenium, the Sweeties. We have a few other ones for blood sugar. Anything you think of for blood sugar. Osteomag, Zinc FX, Fucoid Z. There's anything you do for blood sugar. And he's going to want to especially watch out for the blood sugar spiking foods, foods that really throw off the metabolism with high energy. So he should be eating more grounding foods, protein foods, rich meat kind of foods, those kinds of things if he's a meat eater. But you have meat, most people don't have a problem with. If you switch over to veggies like beans, cruciferous vegetables sometimes, FODMAPs foods, I don't want to get too much into a digression, but there's certain foods that feed those bacteria you got to stay away from. So just kind of watch for problem foods and eliminate those problem foods.
They do more chicken and fish is
rice. Yeah, seafood. Yeah, stay away from the rice and the pasta and the potatoes and all that, definitely, as best as you can. And then the blood sugar, all the blood sugar nutrients. And then I would also be using fats, like the Ultimate EFAs, maybe 9 or 12 of them a day. If he can get retinol topically, high concentration retinol, that'll help.
Help him with that?
Yeah, I can help him with that if he wants to reach out in the pharmacy. And then let me think here. All the blood sugar stuff, all the digestive stuff, food diary, that's pretty much where I would leave it for now. If you want to do a few other things, you might want to take high doses, and this would not be longevity, but high doses of vitamin A, and high doses, and not high doses, but sunshine for vitamin D, making sure he's out in the sun for vitamin D. Black skin doesn't get as much vitamin D as lighter skin. So African Americans are going to be lower in vitamin D anyway. But if he's not in the sun, and he does have some of the signs of some vitamin D, he has some of the things on his skin can improve with sunshine, we'll say. So he may be dealing with some kind of vitamin D issues, and the sun will get him some vitamin D. The best vitamin D does come from the sun, by the way. And then he may want to throw in, I forgot the ultimate selenium. I did say the ultimate selenium, about 600 micrograms a day of the ultimate selenium. And then he may want to throw in, and you'll have to, again, this is not longevity, some vitamin E, 400 to 800 IU a day of vitamin E. Vitamin E in high concentrations and high doses, like 400 to 800 IU or even 1200 IU, can be amazing for healing. Amazing, like over the top. Like when you burn yourself or have some kind of abrasion skin, super high doses. I'm talking 1200 IU. The RDA is like, I don't know, 40 IU or something like that. So, and then most capsules are 400 IU. So you're talking about 3 capsules a day. And that's a lot. If you don't want to do it for too long, but maybe for a week or two, it's super dramatic for healing. I'm not saying for this person necessarily, although they may want to think about that too. Okay. What else you got there?
Well, I mean, as usual, Ben, you are phenomenal.
Isn't it? But this is not hard, right?
You make it sound simple. And
anybody out there in internet land?
Lisa, who's the affected mom, is saying thank you. This is helpful, and very informative. And that's all we try to do is be informative.
Good. Well, tell Lisa or Lisa if you're listening, this can change this kid's life. Your boy can be a new man in 60 to 90 days, and really even before that, because once you start to notice the changes, it's very empowering. So I can only imagine the kind of frustration the kid must be dealing with and mom must be dealing with, to be trying all of these things because you don't know what to do, understandably. So that's what we do at Longevity. We don't just sell products. We don't just have the best products you're ever going to use, and we don't just have super easy systems that are easy to use. You get great information from myself, Dr. Wallach, AJ, Rebecca, even, if Rebecca's out there.
Rebecca is out there.
Dr. Wallach, and we got a bunch of super health superstars, and we can help you understand your bodies. And if you're sick, dealing with the health challenge, help you get better too.
Well, Ben, I mean, there's no place else to go at this point. I mean, I wish we had other questions. We always have more questions.
Daily with Doc. We'll talk about histamine.
We'll see you on Friday, Ben.
All right.
And I appreciate your time. Thank you for being with us.
All right. Good to see you. Bye, AJ. Bye.